Hi friends, we have Rakesh with us, P K Rakesh. Welcome P K Rakesh on Dil Se. Thank you for taking out time. You worked a lot with the national level badminton circuit. You are an NLP practitioner. You also conduct NLP workshops. You are a transactional analysis, certified transactional analysis practitioner also, amongst many things. You're also someone who has, done, I think, multiple 10-day retreats at the Vipassana centers. You've had a very interesting journey with yourself. The nature of your work, of course, is very stressful, and yet you manage to sort of focus on so many different things. Anybody who's worked, or rather, anybody who's come to contact with you during a workshop will swear by the, uh, how should I put it, the amount of stories that you have at your disposal. You always got a story for, especially that Mullah Nasruddin ka story. You always have one of those to brighten up the mood, or to explain something faster. So, it's going to be, I'm really looking forward to this conversation. Very, very excited about it. So, welcome.
Thanks, Ravi.
And tell us a little bit about your journey.
Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for the praise and all those words, wonderful words. I think, it's much more than what I actually deserve, maybe. But it was quite interesting, as I would say that, the journey, the life is all about journey, So I'm a staunch believer in that. It's not just reaching a destination. It's about journey and how you enjoy the whole movement or the journey. So professionally, if I talk about myself, I'm an engineer. I have a management background and been in the sales field for almost 20 years. Very niche job in the professional way. And when you are related with sales, automatically it happens that, the relationship management comes into picture with human being. So that's also about sales. So what you do in sale is, selling yourself to another human being, and then the product goes in. So every single salesperson in the universe, I believe that everyone is a salesman, whether I sell a product, whether I sell myself, everybody is a salesperson.
Knowingly and unknowingly, yes.
Absolutely, yes. Everybody. Because, if I have to send myself to a girl during my college time, I'm actually selling myself to a girlfriend. If she's convinced, then she comes with me. If not, she does not. So practically, you sell yourself to your children, your wife, your parents, your friends. That's also about salesmanship. Where it started was, there was some recollection between myself that, you already are selling yourself to people. Why don't you get into the psychological studies? So it becomes a structured way into how, you know exactly what you're doing with the whole relationship management. And beautiful, insight from me when I got into, say about a decade back, when I got into psychology. So studying it in a structured way, bought into NLP, spending time with NLP, and we know, as you're also an NLP practitioner, nobody is an expert in NLP. It's more about the practice, and it's a
constant
way of
evolution.
life.
Constant evolution.
Absolutely, it's a way of life. So
yeah.
Today, I will not be surprised if Richard, and Grinder says that I'm still practicing NLP, because they have actually come out with NLP, but they're still practicing. That's how the way things are evolving. So whatever field of study, it's all practice and how we evolve things and how we implement those things in our own life. So NLP happened to me, honestly. And when I got into NLP, multiple facets started evolving. It's, the best example which I sell to myself is, it's a dark desert highway. Dark desert highway. You can't see anything and you're driving a car. What can you see? Maximum is until where the headlight reaches, say about 20 feet. And that 20 feet you cover, another 20 feet open. And the journey, starts. So if I'm traveling from Mumbai to Pune on a deserted highway, absolutely dark, I can only see my 20 feet. The call is whether you're actually taking a step forward, driving that 20 feet, which opens up another 20 feet, and then another 20 feet, and then 120 kilometers open up. there are many people who I've met in my life, those are fear of starting because they cannot see something beyond 20 feet. And that's where, probably we all make a difference that the first step has to be started. Thereafter, things fall in place. So it was NLP for me first, then, TA, and these are all a part of therapies. We are talking about 150 plus therapies in the psychotherapy, and these are all one of the tools. So the more tools you have in your kitty, the easier it can be implied into the relationship management. So that's how my journey started in psychology. And trust me, after spending 10 years, I'm still a baby. Now I've realized that, I need to spend another 40 years to learn something more into this. I mean, that vast it is. But the advantage what I have today, even in my professional, field as a salesperson or as a mind coach in my badminton, sessions or academy, where I'm practicing with national players, that today exactly what to tell to the people. And because I've implemented in my life, it is easier for me to connect it to somebody else's life. So if you look at me today, after the lockdown situation, I have come down from 76 to 61. So if you ask me, I have lost a lot.
You've lost a lot of kilos, huh?
Almost 15 kilos. And I never did this in last, say, about 15 years, because somewhere there was a limiting belief in my own self that nahi, aapka to body mass or bone weight, muscle weight, everything cannot come below 70, because I have never come below 70. But that limiting belief was smashed during the lockdown. So when it came to 69, I got a blink somewhere, saying, it is 69. So the needle has come down. So why not? Why not it can't come still? And it's like it's 61 today. There is dedication, there is discipline, there is sustained plan of working. Everything what you do, there's a curriculum to that, what is coming up. That's how the journey is. So for me, I think that's the learning which still keeps on continuing. So engineering to human engineering, and then to the sports field, it's an amazing journey, Ravi.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is. And I think badminton is something which has been your love from a very long time. And I met you probably about a couple of years back. At that time, you were part of a team that was associated with the Kerala team, and then of course after that you've gone and worked with you've been selected. You've worked with the national level. So you stay in Bombay, Maharashtra, but tell us more about this this whole journey of badminton and how you moved ahead with that.
It's again, I would say it's a story. It happened to me because I've met one of my friends from Cochin. He is a national player. His name is Joy T. Anthony. So he has represented India many times. He happened to come to Mumbai for a summer camp, and then we had some interactions, and then just became friends. And then he started interacting that today in the field of badminton, though we have beautiful trainers, we have physical trainers, but on the mind aspect, there is nobody who really works, because though we have sports psychology, it's more related to not as a whole field. It is not specifically to the mind application and mind conditioning and coachings. So that's where something blinked, and I said, Joy, then why don't we do one thing? Maybe next time when I'm there in the academy, let's have a couple of sessions with the players and see what's changing, or how they take it. Trust me, when those 2 hours, 3 hour sessions happened with people, they were like blown, because what happened is they were playing, they were national players, they were winning matches, but how that was happening, probably they never knew. Why somebody is able to manage his mind on the court, because the beauty of badminton, if you see, it's a second to second game. You don't have time to think,
And to
because,
think
the
very
shuttle just
fast.
moves fast. It's very fast, because 400 plus, if somebody hits the shuttle from the other side, it's 400 plus kilometer per hour. So it's like blink of second, you have to just react. So, and how do you do it on the court? Because, whatever you practice, it's outside the court. And when during the tournament, you're standing on the court, whether you play or whether you think. So the beauty was, that's where, NLP comes into picture. If we look at the, presuppositions of one of the presuppositions in NLP, we're talking about mind and body as a part of the same system. So you can play badminton, but if your mind does not work, the playing is limited. It's got a limitation. But if you're able to just analyze your game, then your body does not perform the way. So it's a beautiful blend between when and how your body has to move in the court, synchronized with your mind management or the mind. So techniques like anchoring, techniques like imagery, these are wonderful techniques which you really practice it outside the court, and then the same can be replicated on the field, on the court at that moment. Because if somebody is too anxious on the court, you're losing points after points, at 5 points. And these are practical examples which we're seeing on the court. When a player loses 5 points, he's destined to lose 1 more point, because, the mental pattern which has been built on the court is 5 times, okay, oh, I'm hitting it outside. Oh, my opponent is better than me. So that's a conscious pattern which is happening. So the 6th one automatically happens. And then when it happens as a pattern, then he's out. So how do you break that pattern? So how do you, so a very simple example, I say, oh, don't hit the shuttle out. I mean, that's how the vocabulary we speak. That's the linguistic. Don't hit the shuttle out. So what happens is, unconsciously, you're giving a feed that don't hit the shuttle out, which says don't is not studied by the brain. So hit the shuttle out, and the shuttle goes out. So what we do is we reframe the whole thing and keep the shuttle in. So what do? Nothing. You're just rephrasing the whole thing. You're building up that keep the shuttle in, keep the shuttle in. So you're rephrasing, rediverting the shuttle in the imagery way, and it works on the court. So such simple techniques, when we really implemented on players, and it was like a mind-blowing change. They say, "Sir, ye kaise ho gaya?" See, that's the beauty. That's where it connected me that, okay. And when we interacted with the senior players, they said, no academy in India were doing that. They were, all, we have good physical trainers, we have good technical trainers. Trust me, India is actually picking up in badminton in a very big way. But when it comes to mind management, there are limitations. So me and Joy, we decided, okay, let's select a set of people, the younger players, because senior players were too into the patternized level. So we caught off, the younger players, those who are in the national circuit and moving upwards, where, when the kids are small, you can train them well, because, the fixed pattern is less
receptive.
Yeah. So the condition neurology, which we says in the neurolinguistic program, those are still, you have a lot of potential of new conditionings happening in the neurons. So since last 5 years, we have been working with the athletes, and the performance is coming up very well, including the coaches. Sometimes we really, you just walk across the National Academy, you will just hear the coaches telling the players in a negative frame. So then you start training the coach that, rather than telling the negative frames, you convert it into the positive frames. So whatever vocabulary you're hearing through the auditory, areas or the senses, that is also positive. So smaller positives, dot by dot, creates the largest and the state. So here, the most important thing, what I work on is, how do you create a new state? Whatever you may be very in a sad state, but when you come to the court, your state is changed. And once your state is changed to the positivity, the performance exams. That's what precisely I do. That's in a short term. And, it's a very, very long subject. One by one, we get into, it's like
we can go on about that, but in short, I mean, like you rightly said, the moment they come in, it's to ensure that it's you've anchored a certain emotion there, of a peak state there. The moment you come on, it has to be an extremely positive and a winner kind of a. So it has to be a when we say a peak state, really it has to work towards the best he has played before.
Absolutely.
Which involves a lot of self-talk, which, just gestures. I remember someone telling me about the fact that, she used to work with players, and you would know Manjari had given this example, I think. And this player kept doing this after every, couple of shots when if the point went his way. So, or a certain linguistic, like you rightly pointed out, that someone keeps using a certain linguistic when they, get a point. So it's using that linguistics in other areas of their life as well. So involving even the family members that use these linguistics in a day-to-day life. So the peak state, as he comes closer to a tournament, it's far easier for the player, him or her, to sort of
Absolutely.
slip into the peak state.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely. Because,
excellent.
if you realize, what we, we all know that, honestly, we all know what we consciously do on a daily basis becomes our habit.
Yeah.
Do we really choose to do what I'm supposed to do? No. Many times, 95% of the people, they just go with the flow because it happens to them. We are not able to control the mind controls us. So, and just for example, in today's scenario, you switch on the TV, what do you really hear? COVID-19, media screaming, COVID is increasing, death is increasing, Indian economy going down by 23.9%, share market bearish, drug cartel in Bollywood, the latest hit, whether Sushant Singh was killed or whether it was suicide. What are we actually hearing? All the senses, whether it's like ear, eyes, whatever, all the five
It's too
senses,
much.
it's all
Actually, this is the
negativity.
whole purpose behind having conversations like this, is because I wanted to shift focus away from content which is so negative to focusing on positive journeys, positive people who had, even through this last 6 months, people who've not stopped working on themselves, who've not, so to say, fallen prey to the big blasting by the media, which well, they're doing their job, they're working, they're making their money. One
Absolutely.
can't blame them, but I think this is an overdose. You're right; it's just too
Absolutely.
much.
Absolutely. See, one thing what I always recollect after 20 years of Stephen Covey, what you have written in Seven Habits, of highly effective people, sharpening the saw. That's the seventh habit which he says. Where do you really get time to sharpen your saw? Because in today's scenario, whether you're in Pune, I'm in Mumbai, people in metro, it's a constant journey to meet the ends, every day, right from morning, we are just going somewhere, doing something just to meet our requirements. Where do we get time to sharpen this saw? Last 4-5 months was a beautiful time during the COVID.
Yeah,
Whatever passion you had, whatever dream it did not fulfill, or you were always, it was a dream for you always, you had time for 4-5 months. I would sincerely ask question to each and every one, just look back to yourself. Could you even get into something? If the answer is yes, I think you have utilized the COVID period in a beautiful way. And it really encourages me because after 20 years of my experience, I still understand that there are certain areas of tool which I have need to have be sharpened. And what better than this time? You work from home, you have all time for yourself, you have family time, because I travel a lot. I was
yeah,
never spending time with my family, because last 5 months I'm spending my time with my kids so much. And it's a beautiful moment. It's like a heaven on earth in this time. You look the way you want to, you find what you want. So if you're just following the media with all these bombarded words, that's the effect you're getting. And as I say, consciously what you do becomes a habit for you. So it's on you what you do.
yeah. That's very true. Actually, this is, it's not only the media; it's even our, we need to detox from WhatsApp and handheld devices, which are also the cause of. We have a lot of these WhatsApp warriors and WhatsApp doctors, so to say. So,
It's true.
uh,
What's up
Vipa-
universities?
so even Vipassana, I mean, I think the moment I saw you, I said there seems to be a different. I mean, the Rakesh, there's a different, I use the word ठहराव, and you said होना चाहिए. But tell me about your Vipassana journey. You know, we've already had a guest who's given her version of Vipassana, but I'd really like to know uh, how Vipassana has helped you and how you've used uh, the benefits of that arise out of the 10-day period or 3-day period or 20-day period for that matter.
Ravi, honestly, I mean, I think Vipassana is one of the best thing which happened in my life. I mean, see, the best always keeps happening. That's precisely what is happening with me. You did a lot of things, but it was all dots. And Vipassana was the time when it all connected. The dots got connected. And, what you search, you get. So Vipassana happened to me through one of the TA experts. There's one of the professors, so doctor, is a researcher in a lot of things. He said that, we're just having a casual conversation and then a lot of discussions on the psychology and the behavioral aspect and things like that. He said, Rakesh, why don't you just go and do this Vipassana? And this, I'm talking about some 4 years back, he recommended. So what is Vipassana? So he said, no, this is what a part of meditation and things like that. Okay, one more meditation. Because, we have a number of meditation processes, techniques, tools and techniques. I mean, it's all different. So when we discussed for about 2 hours, something struck, no, this is something different. So let me see. And I wanted to start it in Igatpuri because that's the point where in India it started. I waited for 2 years because in today's scenario, taking 10 days out of your professional, your family career, and with no mobile for 10 days, I think it's a dream for me, at least. There may be people, for the students, which is very easy, but for me and you, it's not very easy. So, and with the time when you want to visit, you don't get an enrollment there. So I waited for 2 years. And one fine day morning during the May 2019, I just logged and it was green and just got booked. And it was like, first step, it got booked. And that I can still feel that happiness of the day I got enrolled. I didn't know what exactly I'm going to get there. I had no clue. But the only advantage was you understood something about the psychology. You understood something about yourself. You understood some qualities about yourself and what you want to do in future. So those clarity were already there with me. Vipassana was that area or that premise where you do nothing. You cannot carry anything. You cannot carry a book or something to write. True. You're just with your own self. First 3 days was very struggling period because, you have never experienced this. It's a noble silence and you understand the quality and the strength of silence when you're there. So one by one, by say about 5th day, 6th day, the dots got like, big yellow ball, something like this. The dots got this big. And then one by one, it started connecting. And when the 11th day I was out, after the 10th day, you can speak. There was no sound because your vocal cords get jammed. But what you realize that I am okay if I'm not speaking. So after 10 days, I'm telling about a person who's in sales for 20 years. His only job is talking. Just I'm too extrovert, So it's like the energy comes to me when I talk. After that Vipassana period, I say, what am I talking? Because the more you talk, the lesser you take. So that was the learning which happens to me in Vipassana. The noble silent gave me a lot of settlement in the values which you had learned, the tools which you had learned. So one by one, those things got settled. Because then you understand that before you do anything, there is a sensation in the body which tells you to do. And if you're able to manage that sensation, the eagerness to do something can be controlled. So the right word, which I would say in one single word, which I would say is equanimity. Equanimity is the word which I took out when I came back from Vipassana. because that's what exactly Therav means. Because, if you're equanimous to any circumstance, then you get time to think. It's between, what you speak and what you hear, there's a Therav in between. And that's where you conquer. You conquer. And if you're able to conquer that moment, it's done. I mean, so that was my learning of the 10 days. And the basic reason for me to also do this 10-day was, to understand what I should do further. Because, now I can attend a 3 days course, because, basics needs to be done. So like 20 days, 30 days, 60 days, I do not know whether I'll be able to do it in my life. Or one more 10-day, I do not know. But I am longing to do that, because you understand the strength of silence when you be there. Because otherwise, in the normal done and bustle in today in the metros, we cannot get that time. And practicing every day 1 hour, morning, evening, if you're able to manage it for at least half an hour, 1 hour, it settles down a lot of emotion. It closes a lot of emotion internally, gives you much more strength. And every decision what you do, it's backed up with solid strength and solid discipline within you. And probably in the field which I was already there, with Vipassana, it became one more tool to strengthen my own self. It's in very short what I've explained.
Yeah, I mean, what I'd just like to add to this is it's very interesting, the play of words or linguistics. And it's also very interesting what we refer to as map in NLP. Each one has their own different takeaways, or where they come from. While you've spoken everything about settling, or sort of coming down or coming together within. A lot of people who attended Vipassana, they have spoken about things coming out. And so where you have you've taken on silence, you have embraced it, so to say. So for a lot of people, silence has been not something that they've struggled with, but I think one or two have exactly the same sort of experience that you had. After 10 days, they had no interest in speaking. But, speaking is something which not even, like you said, you're a salesman, or you're in sales, and so for you it's far more important to speak. But the quality at which you now are able to choose your words or choose is far more different. It's not it's not because of what I remember of you. There was the more of you're right. You were an extrovert. You were far more talkative than you are now, and that's what I said. There's a real change in you. There's a sense of extreme calmness just looking at you. So that's why I wanted to explore more about your experience with. And you've gone once or twice?
I've gone once. I have intention to go once more, because now I know exactly what to do the next time, because you're getting matured there in terms.
Yeah.
So that's I really intend to go once more, but I really don't know when. But I want to be there once, because it's close by in Belapur, just across my house. There's one more area, pagoda, wherein you get admission easily, and now I can actually walk down to this place. I would just remember one mullah story. I mean, that's been
Yes,
metaphor has
signature.
been my life.
Yes.
Because the easiest way, and it's now. I mean, even you look at your grandfathers or forefathers, they've always gave the teachings through stories, small stories, because it's something which you really goes sharp through the critical filter, because there's no filtration. It directly goes and hit your subconscious. So what I recollect is, our mullah, he used to move from one state to another state very often. So you have this toll nakas, right? When you move from one state to another, you have this toll nakas. So then there was one man who always used to see mullah with his donkey and a lot of stuffs moving from one state to another, and always was suspicious that mullah kuch to chupa raha hai mujhse. But whenever he checked, he always has his papers right. Absolutely. There was nothing which he was hiding. Everything was on paper. So once he passed, twice he passed, every month he passed, nothing. Papers were absolutely right. But somewhere intuition says, nahi, kuch to chupa raha hai. Something is being smuggled. So time passed on, and then this guy got retired. And he was still not able to find ki mullah actually smuggle kya kar raha tha. So one fine day when he was having his tea in the dhaba, which on the highway side dhaba, and he saw mullah going in. This guy was retired and said, "Mullah ji, हाँ, आप मुझे याद है मैं कौन हूँ?" So he said, "I was the same old, excise person who used to check. मुझे एक तो पता है कि आप तो कुछ तो smuggle कर रहे थे, but your papers were always right. See, now I am not in job. Now I can't do anything to you. Can you just explain me what you were smuggling?" So Mullah looked at him very simply and said, "Oh, that's so simple. It was the donkey." So
Yes,
such a
yes.
small, simple story, but if you realize, it's in front of us, but we don't see it. So, and everyone has got a donkey sitting and riding on the same thing, but we are not able to analyze our own stuffs. The moment you understand what you want to look and what you want to analyze, you will see things becomes very simple.
We've been told to focus on a particular thing, in life, and that's where the unlearning has to happen. I think this is a very good analogy of really stepping back and saying, okay, you know what, we've been told focus here, but actually the magic is somewhere else. Something else is happening somewhere else. Look holistically, look elsewhere as well.
Absolutely.
So that's spot on. And as I was saying, it's not everybody who's looked at things this way. It's not everybody who's this past 6 months. It's not everybody who's been able to use this as effectively, because this see, initially it came, there was a certain lack. So are we going to lack food? Are we going to lack the essentials? So I think the first maybe 1 month was all about hoarding up, or focusing on whether you have enough, or so it really one really didn't think too much about the time to come. But with passing time, I think now the focus seems to be more on uncertainty of people are focusing a lot on the uncertainty of things. And fair enough,
Absolutely.
a lot of people, they've lost their jobs, people's businesses are not doing well. Yes, all of that is a stark reality. We have to deal with it, But amidst all of this, you're right. One thing that we can't afford to, and we shouldn't um, forget, is our own lives. The people who matter, the situations that matter. Out of the blue, EHE is weird. There's nothing like this. I think in past 100 years, and it's no coincidence that it's happened in our lifetime.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if it's happened, there is a reason. I think everything happens for a reason. We just need to kind of step back, analyze what's it happened for, and take the positives from it. We have only two options really, either to look at it and get overwhelmed by the situation, or to take the positives, just like you have. So you've really worked on your mind, body, soul for the past 6 months. You've bonded so beautifully with your family. And I have to compliment you, which every time we all do, when we see you narrating a Mullah Nasruddin's story, is it, you come alive narrating that. And I think one day we'll just have a conversation about, you
Stories.
narrating stories,
No,
because I'm
because
sure it's
Ravi,
something which all ages like, right from kids to adults.
because what about Mullah? The best part about this Mullah Nasruddin stories, if you really go deep into the Mullah stories, the analogy which was created, the character which called Mullah was created is because this man, he wears a turban, sits on a donkey. So when you see at him, you think that he is a fool, correct? But he has not studied any book. But the stories which is passed on, it's like, every human predicament, what happens is basically, there's something which comes in as a story with a learning. So where does this story or the knowledge for Mullah comes in? So somewhere I honestly feel that there's some divine power within the Mullah, which comes directly from some source and then comes as an advice or a story. Because that attracted me very much, because though these are very small stories, the power of these stories are huge. Because, whether it's a kid, whether it's an adult or a very senior person, the way mullah stories are, it directly hits your subconscious, because it does not, because it's a comedy story, it's a joking, it's a humor, it's a humorous story, the character is humor, and mullah does not care about what you think about him. That's the best part. He does not bother. He wants to speak something, he talks to you directly. So there is no acceptance, or there is no kind of permission taken from somebody whether I should tell this story, whether he will feel bad. Nothing. Mullah directly speaks, and he speaks to his people, and that's the best part of Mullah Nasruddin's story.
So there's a lot of Rakesh. There's a lot of Rakesh in Mullah. So Rakesh speaks when he wants to speak. He doesn't care, and which is a very good thing, really.
Because being assertive, I believe, yes, being assertive is a very, very important part of one of your goals in life. Because, if you're not assertive, you cannot, reveal your emotions. Because, if I'm sad, I'm not able to express my sadness, then I am not healing myself. I'm actually distressing myself. So if you're authentic, then you are automatically, into the assertive behavior. If you're assertive, you fight and finish.
So when you say assertive, really it means it is to acknowledge everything, right? And it's not sort of
the way it is. The way it is.
The way it is. Yeah, not compromising. Just what I am.
Because
what
that's
I
where
want,
our NLP map works in.
Yeah.
If I tell a word, your map looks at it in a different way. My map looks at it in a different way. But an assertive person, he's a neutral person. Okay, your map may be different. My map may be different. So perspective changes. So being assertive really complements that. And it's not easy to be assertive, because, when you are assert, people think you are aggressive.
Aggressive.
Yeah.
Very fine line.
It's a very fine line, very fine line. But how do you manage that? That's where these learnings help you.
So, which is, so spot on about even your interactions with the fraternity that you work with. The senior players may find it because they're in it for a very long time, from a very young age. So the acceptance level of what you may want to propose to them, even though it's for their own benefit, might not be as open, receptive as the younger ones.
Very true.
So, what is the age group that you work with typically?
I started with about 13 plus, but now even 35 plus people we keep interacting.
Because they've seen the results. They've seen you guys working. They've seen Rakesh achieving results with players. How the game improves. Because beyond a point, I think there is a plateau. Wouldn't you agree? I think and if you want to push the envelope, if you want to improve your game, physically, I think there's only so much that you can.
Absolutely.
But mentally, there's
at the top level, at the top level, when you compare two players, the top level players, he is physically fit like you are, he is technically trained like you are. What makes a slight difference is the mental management, how you're able to, and because there's no hardware which can map how mentally active or how mentally coached you are. There's nothing which can actually measure in practicality. So that's where real strength comes into picture. And certain people, like we talk about Japan, Korea, China. The culture of these countries, they are already culturally they are meditative. In the meditative state, because everything they have been practicing this for many centuries. So culturally, they are much more deeper into the meditative state when they're doing anything, whether it's game or whether it's business. They're able to achieve it in a sharper and a faster way. While in India, meditation and self-settlement was more like treated as okay, I have a mental issue, so I need to visit a psychologist. That's how it was treated.
Unfortunately, I think, Rakesh, we've looked towards the West. Even all of this, so much of this has emanated from India and gone, even to the Far East or to the West. But we have this whole acceptance of this Gora culture, that the Gora or the white guy sort of complex. So unfortunately, what started it from our place, we are now revisiting it after all these
back. That's
years.
true.
Yeah. So I'm so glad that there are people like you who are there in this field, and I'm sure at some point of time you'll be leading your expertise and giving it
Because
in
today
other
the
fields.
sports have extended. It's not only
Yeah.
remaining to badminton, whether it's shooting, whether it's you're talking about whether it's bow and arrow or whether it's a revolver,
Archery,
everything, archery.
Yeah.
You talk about any sports,
Mm.
psychology is a part of that. Mental conditioning is being implied because people have started understanding the importance of that, and this minor change what can achieve. Because as Manjari says, most of the thing what happens in your life is because of the smaller things. If you're able to change the smaller thing, most of the things changes. So they have understood this technique,
and
think,
it's a very exciting time to be in India in most sports. I think whether it's I think Formula One or thereabouts is also being explored. Football, kabaddi, there are pro league kabaddi teams, hockey teams. There's cricket, of course, has always been there. Badminton, tennis. So there's so much that's happening. I think table tennis is also is something
squash is picking up.
Squash is picking up. Squash, we are there, but we've been in and out.
Absolutely.
So all of this, it's a really an exciting time, and I think that's where your real passion lies. So
absolutely.
I do hope and pray that you can stay within that sphere as a career or move. Just, I think if that's something that you really would want. Yeah. So all the best. Thank you once again for taking out time. Luckily, it's you're working from home, so I was able to connect with you. But
thank you, Ravi.
And another session full of stories one day.
Full of stories, yes.
Full of story.
Sure. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Sure.